If you have ever been east Lothian, you will see that the skyline is dominated by a large hill, King. This hill is the setting for many story in East Lothian, many myth and legend. You can find more about King in our tale of the fairy tournament. This is a story that looks at something different. Today, we are delving into the legends of Scotland. Welcome to the podcast that explores all that is myth, legend, and folklore in Scotland. I'm your host, Ryan, and join me in discovering tales from Galloway to Shetland and from the Hebrides to Peterhead. This is Finding Folklore. A long time ago, atop King, there lived a tribe in a castle. That tribe was ruled over by King Loth, whom, legend has it, was brother-in-law to King Arthur himself. Along with Loth lived his daughter, Princess Thenau. And one day, Loth agreed to marry his daughter off to Prince Owain. Owain was not a kind man, and Thenau knew this, and she wanted no part of the prince. But King Loth believed the marriage between Owain and Thenau would further his kingdom and power, and so he tried to convince his daughter to do what was best for the kingdom. His daughter refused. King Loth was not too happy, for how could he expect his kingdom to follow him when his own daughter would not? And so decided she had to be punished. Sending her away to live among the peasants would be her punishment. And he knew that after weeks she would come back and beg to marry Prince Owain. And so King Loth sent away Thenau to live amongst the swineherders. But she did not come back and beg to be taken back to the comforts of royalty as he had expected. In fact, she stayed away considerably longer, and eventually King Loth sent out his spies to find out what had become of his daughter. Well, his spies returned with news that did not please him. Princess Thenau was happy among the swineherders. She had left their pagan ways and found Christianity, and she had fallen in love with the eldest son of the family that had taken her in. Well, King Loth was not happy about this, and when Owain heard about it, the two spoke and deliberated on what action could be taken. There's not much we can do, King Loth said. I've sent her to be punished, and her punishment she has accepted. I'm afraid we seem to have lost. Well, Prince Owain was not too happy with this, and so devised a plan of his own. If Thenau would not return on her own merit, then she would return by other means. And so, under the cover of darkness, Prince Owain disguised himself as a woman and snuck into the home where Princess Thenau slept. There, he forced himself upon her and left under cover of night without being caught. Soon, Princess Thenau was shown. The attack had caused her to fall pregnant. When King Loth's spies reported back to him that the princess was pregnant from what appeared to be a swineherd's son, the king was not too happy. How could she disrespect him like this? How could she get pregnant out of wedlock? And to someone so beneath her station nonetheless? Well, this had to be punished. And so King Loth had his guards bring his daughter in. And in front of the whole kingdom, King Loth condemned his daughter, condemned her to death by stoning. Prince Owain stood and watched and said nothing. Thenau begged and pleaded and tried to tell the truth, but none believed her. And so she was taken away by the king's guard, whom, themselves, did not want to stone the princess. How could they do such a thing to a girl they had known from such a young age? But they knew the orders must be carried out. And so they made the decision that the hill they lived on, Thenau, would be the stone that caused her death. And so they put the princess in a wooden crate and carried her to the top of the hill. And as a group, 6 men, all together, tossed the crate over the edge of the hill, so no one of them could be blamed for the death of the princess. And down the crate fell, hundreds of feet. It spiraled and whizzed through the air until eventually it crashed on the rocks below, shattering into 1,000 pieces. The princess was dead. All knew that. And when they went down to recover the body, they were shocked to find she lay there, alive and well, and still pregnant. How could it be? How could anyone survive such a fall? Witchcraft, King Loth exclaimed. My daughter is a witch, he said with a tear in his eye. I'm no witch, Princess Thenau exclaimed. I was saved by God himself. Well, King Loth laughed. If your God will protect you, then perhaps he will protect you again. Stoning has failed, but you must still be punished. So, we will place you in a hide-skin canoe. And so, they took her down to Aberlady, placed her into the canoe, and pushed her out to the sea. And the sea took her, and she moved back and forth in her canoe, and water began to lap in at her feet and at her hair. And the tides grew stronger, and she got pulled further and further from land. And she was sure she would die. But she prayed. She prayed to God to protect her. She prayed to God to protect her unborn child. And she prayed that she would be brought back safely. But the seas and the winds grew worse. They threw her back and forth, and she clung on, knuckles turning white, until eventually she started to come back into land. And there she landed, by Culross in Fife, where she was discovered by monks and taken in to live at their abbey. It was in this monastery where she gave birth. She gave birth to a child who would go on to be sainted. He would become Saint Mungo, the patron saint of Glasgow. And Princess Thenau herself would be sainted and become Saint Enoch. And that is where we leave the story for Enoch and Mungo. But it is not where we leave the story for King Loth, who had sent his daughter away to die in the seas. For some time later, King Loth walked at the bottom of the law, and the man who had loved his daughter, the man who had been falsely accused of impregnating her, the man who was the eldest son of the swineherders, snuck out from the bushes and assassinated the king with a knife. And there the king fell, and in his honour they erected a stone, a standing stone called the Loth Stone that can still be found by the base of Thenau today. And it is even said that the Lothians themselves gathered the name from this king, King Loth. And today that is where we end our story. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on this story. Did you already know the story of the saints and how the Lothians took their name? Were you aware that King Loth was stated to be the brother-in-law of King Arthur himself? Like, share and subscribe if you haven't already, and join me for our next episode in a couple of weeks' time. Until then, may the devil walk behind you. Bye for now.